Tune in. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. Good evening. I am Latasha Thomas, your worth coach and restoration strategist. I help women discover their worth and ultimately walk in victory. Today, we are going to talk about how you can halt hoarding holistically. So, what exactly does that mean? I think over the course of time, when you live in a space, you're likely to carry things, you're likely to accumulate things, you're likely to accumulate objects such as clothes, shoes, furniture, books, CDs, whatever the case may be. We have the tendency to accumulate things over the course of time. And I know that in my parents' generation, it was very important to hold on to family heirlooms, to hold on to things that reminded you of your loved ones, and to make sure that you kept those things and that they were sacred items for us. My mom still to this day has things that she remembers or had from her sister or whoever. And I think that's a common thing. We want to make sure that we have reminders and memories. And so it's important that we take the time to really evaluate where we are and what space we're in and how that space contributes to our mental health and our mental clarity. So I'll just start with myself. So over the years, I've definitely accumulated things. I've been in my home for 7 years. And with that, I was married in this home. Of course, I have children. And I was so busy at one point in my life that I would take away certain things, but I never deeply purged anything. I would keep my house neat and clean, but it wasn't where it could have been. And so I remember distinctly right after I got separated, I wanted to change the look of my environment. I wanted to change the feel of my environment because I felt that that would give me a little extra peace and a little extra comfort because I wasn't consistently reminded of what used to be. And so that's how this journey for me started. I would look around in my room and I was just like, it doesn't feel the same. The way that things used to be, it's not anymore. And I wanted to get away from it. And so the first thing that I began to do was, of course, to change my shower curtain. And so that shower curtain, it was nothing wrong with it necessarily, but I just wanted to change the whole feel of the bathroom. So I changed the shower curtain. I put up some pictures that had affirmations on them or paintings, like with the words, because that was very popular. Particularly at that time, it was just emerging as something that people utilized a lot in their home. And so it was perfect. It was, I put those affirmations on the wall in my bathroom. I got a pretty curtain. I really did it up. And it's not like I spent a lot of money on these things. I just needed to change my space. And then I slowly have moved throughout different spaces in my home to change the look and the feel of it. And so in doing so, I was required to look at the things that used to be. I was required to look at what I used to use and say, do I really need this? Do I really want this? Or am I holding on to it just because? And I'm telling you, there's something about getting rid of things. It is a purging of your spirit at the same time. It's crazy. I don't know if you guys can relate, but it's like as soon as you get rid of certain items and you have the opportunity to mentally let them go, it's like a refreshing, you look at your space, it's fresh, it's clean, and it feels good on the inside. So what are some of the things, what are some of the items that you can think of that really could be purged in your home. They're not necessarily things that you have to have or things that you must utilize or that you even utilize daily. What are some of those things? I know for a lot of women, we hold on to those lovely, lovely shoes in our closets. We hold on to those cute shirts and those dresses, those I used to be and I want to wears, the things that are not even our sizes anymore, things that could be utilized to bless other people. So I just wanted to say good evening to the ladies who've joined. It's such a pleasure to see you guys. I love each and every one of you. But what are some of the things that you could get rid of? Like if you had to do that right now, write down some of the items that you could get rid of. So we have purses in the chat. Guilty. Guilty of holding on to stuff, right? I mean, even things, come on, y'all. Even things as simple as that favorite bra that has the wire that's coming out a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But you want to just stitch that thing and hold on to it because it's comfortable. Come on now. I know I'm not. I know some of y'all been holding on to some things that clearly are not fully functional anymore. And when we think about hoarding, most of us only think about that show Hoarders, right? So the show where there's like stuff stacked over their heads and they're climbing through things. But how can you, Tupperware, that's good. Coats, undergarments, all that. Absolutely. Tiffany said, bras are expensive. They are. So we patching up stuff. But the thing is, when we hold on to certain things, it also helps clutter our mindset, right? What mindset things have you held on to, like that extra Tupperware? What mindset things have you held on to, like that extra furniture or extra undergarments that are like have slight holes in them and stuff like that? What is it why are we holding on to these things? And let's talk about it. So while you're coming up with that, so the mental connection to the things that you're holding on to. Sometimes it's a scarcity mindset, right? Sometimes it's a mindset where we feel like if we let this thing go, we're never going to get it again. Or we're never going to have enough money again. Or, we're never going to be able to get back to this space. Or I have to hold on to it. When I was growing up, I was told I had to take care of all of my things. And so because I took such good care of my things, I felt like it's still in good shape. I should just keep it, right? But reality was I wasn't wearing those things. I wasn't wearing those sweaters. I wasn't wearing those pants, the pants that you kind of like but don't really like, you know what I mean? Meredith says, I may not need it now, but I will in the future. I'm guilty of that mindset because I didn't know. I remember my parents would give me a choice between a black pair of shoes and a white pair of shoes when I was in, I think, middle school. And it was like, you can get a black pair of shoes and a white pair of shoes and it better last you all year. What? So I can't have no brown. I can't have blue. I had to make sure I took care of those things. So I carried that mindset into my adulthood. And I always wanted to take care of my items. I took pride in that. And so I remember also, like, when I finally got up you can purge certain things, right? It's easy for us to purge certain things, but I love reading. And so I have this bookshelf, and there's several books on it. My ex-husband had his side, and I had my side, and both of us love to read. And so I remember I was holding on to these things. The bookshelf was neat, but it was just crowded with books. And finally, it came to myself. I was like, listen, for a couple of years, I've had his books still sitting on this bookshelf. And there's no animosity between the two of us. So I was like, well, he'll come get his books. And finally I said, you know what? Why am I holding on to what used to be? Why am I holding on to things that don't even belong to me and that are in my space? So when I began to package the books and nicely, and I was like, here's your books, and it sounds so simple, but it was like a peace that came over me, and it was another portion of my healing. And I think it's so important for us to see that, even though we don't necessarily explicitly think of it that way, but when you purge items, you're purging mindsets. So Tiffany says, for me, it came from not having much growing up. So I've learned to hold on to everything I did have. I'm good for patching pants, shoes, and bras. I know that's right. And sometimes it's a good thing, right? I mean, I don't know. I've repurposed pants before and made it into a skirt. I remember when I was a teenager, I would cut my jeans that were too short and I would roll it up on the ends and make my shorts, and I didn't think nothing of it. And there's nothing necessarily wrong. So don't get me wrong. Like, there's, of course, things that we hold on to for good reason, right? But we're talking about the excess, right? There's so many clothes you can't even fit them in your closet. So what is it that causes you to want this sense of overflow? And I think for Tiffany and I, at least, that it was that you might not have it again. You might not have enough. You may not be able to get it later, or hold on to what you have. Scarcity, right? And so then we can also think about things that we've held on to in our life mentally. So what are some of the past hurts and feelings that you have not been able to release? What hurt have you endured that is still carrying on and on and on throughout your life, and is an undercurrent in your choices, in your mindset, in your belief system? What are some of those things in the undercurrents? So for me, I'm very, very conscious of making sure that I don't hold on to an abandonment mindset, right? Because there are different portions of my life in which I felt slightly abandoned by a male figure in my life, or felt abandoned by a friend. And so I have this mindset, or had this mindset, that I had to be guarded because I didn't want anyone else to leave me or leave me stranded. I had to be guarded so that no one could get close enough to hurt me. So there are different things that we hold on to, that we hoard physically, that is a reflection of where we are mentally. And I know for me, when I'm in my workspace, I need it to be clutter free. I need it to be empty of excess things, so that I can think clearly. And I recognize that when my room is clean, when my home is clean, that I feel the same way. And I don't know about you, but it's a direct correlation. So how does clutter make you guys feel? Does it help you? Does organized chaos make you feel better? Do you feel comforted by those things? What mindsets have you had about different things in your home? So like I said, for me, it just feels like my mental space is crowded and impairs my concentration, and I have a hard time staying really focused on what matters most because I'm distracted, right? So hopefully you're able to declutter, right? Mentally and the physical things, and just do it one step at a time. Honestly, y'all, I have felt like I wanted to take everything in my house, throw it out, and start over, right? But who can do that? Who can do all of that? I just want to take everything that even remotely looks like it's not supposed to be there and just toss it in a dumpster and start over. But we don't have time for that. Tiffany says she notices that she sleeps better when her home is clean. Right. It gives you this peace, right? Nothing like taking a shower in a clean bathroom. Yes. Yes, and you like clutter free. When you declutter, you have more energy. Absolutely. And I'm one of those people, I don't know about you guys, but I'm one of those people who wants to get it all done at one time. And it's so not, it's just not, I can't do that anymore because my kids need attention, or I find that when my kids aren't home, that I spend my time decluttering, which is a positive thing, but I also don't rest. So I have to find a healthy balance between the two and realize that I can take it in small chunks and still be successful. I always told myself that I work better in a messy place, but now the clutter is not giving me peace. Yes, that's good, Meredith. And I wonder, for you, what made your mindset shift? What was the change for you? And I think sometimes, and this may not be for your situation, but sometimes we have the tendency to make provisions for our unhealthy mindset because we're not quite in the space ready. Not that that has to be unhealthy, but we're not necessarily in a place in which we're ready to deal with that mindset. And so we make provisions for it. But for you, it may be something different. Maybe I noticed that when I have organization in my home, I feel like I save time. It saves me energy, and it preserves my patience because I get irritable when things aren't in the right space. And don't get me wrong, my house is not spick and span perfect or anything. And I don't, I realize that in order for it to be perfect, I need somebody else to come in here and help. But I used to do things before children and all that. I used to organize my closet to color. Like I'd have this color here, kind of like one of those shows. I forget what it's called. It's like Clean My Space or something, where they go in and they organize everything in a home. And people have this like wonderful experience with it. They organize closets, they put shirts here, they put they have different concepts and stuff. So if you ever need some help with that, or you feel like you need some more ideas on how you can organize your space, that's a good show to watch, and it's on Netflix. If I remember, I'll drop it in the chat. So I don't know, but I think having a baby definitely changed my mindset. Yeah, sometimes when your life changes a little bit, it requires you to go take things to another level of organization, for sure. And she says, I'm used to living in clutter because my childhood house was cluttered too. Yes. Absolutely. And sometimes when we change, like I remember my parents, like I said, my mom and my dad definitely have like heirlooms and things like that. So their home is more cluttered, technically, than I would. But I don't necessarily see the value that they see in those items, right? So when I went to college, I was like, nah, I want my room neat. And that's where the mindset shift took place for me. My home was always like clean, but it just had more things than I desired. So yeah, I can relate to that. So anyhow, what I wanted to say was that, we need to see that our clutter, our mindset, and our clutter, physical clutter, and our mental space are not separate. And sometimes when we are in a space where we feel like we're totally healed, we can still have healing when we begin to go through those things. So Barbara says, I have too many things that hold sentimental value. And that, I think, is the same for my parents. I know my mom sometimes will bring items to my home. She's like, I'm trying to clean things out. Do you want this? It's from when you were a kid. And I'm like, not really. And sometimes I have a moment where I'm like, should I keep it? Will I regret it? So I can totally relate to that as well. But I know for me, the thing that kind of took my healing over the top was when I began to let go and I let go physically of things, and I let go mentally of things at the same time. I think it's easier to be focused on the mental part, especially after divorce or some type of trauma. But I think that even in the physical realm, when you get rid of some of the things that remind you of those spaces, it's also a source of healing. So I just encourage you, even if it's just a matter of changing the look of your space, or rearranging, repurposing things that you already have. It doesn't have to be an expensive venture, but just doing things that keep you holistic, feeling healthy mentally, feeling like you can remain organized, saving that time, saving that energy, preserving your patience, and yes, Meredith, just letting go. And sometimes, I know when we were on the call on yesterday for the Jules and Java call, we had a conversation about how you can be in a space where you are in the midst of blessings and you're in the midst of burdens. So sometimes having to leave our home, or move out of our home, forces us to go into this. And it forces us to deal with the grief of letting go, even of your home as a whole. Sometimes you have to allow yourself that space to actually feel as you go through that process. And it's okay to go through that process. It's okay to grieve a space. It's okay to grieve an item that seemed to hold strong sentimental value, and not feel guilty about it, and not feel like something is wrong with you when you have that emotional moment. It's okay. And letting go is difficult. Letting go of hurt, letting go of items, it's all the same. So I just want to say that I truly appreciate each of you ladies joining me tonight. I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that you will begin to see your space differently, and that you will begin to heal holistically, and that you will be able to halt hoarding holistically. I love you guys, and I hope that you've enjoyed this moment of clarity. Hope all is well. God bless and good night.